Bitesize session today in May 2025. So I'm going to send this out obviously on our newsletter as a recording of our webinar today. But welcome to those that can join us. I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction to kind of what's going on at the moment within economic development and kind of within Uttlesford and what's available to businesses. And then from there, I'll pass over to Louise, our key speaker today. So welcome those that are here. And so myself and Sarah make up the economic development team. For those of you that don't know, very small team here at Uttlesford. I'm the economic development manager and Sarah's she's the manager, sorry, and I'm the officer. She'll kill me, won't she? It's been recorded and everything. So she's the manager, I'm the officer. And the two of us, work super hard on lots of different areas, as you'll see. But why won't it go forward? There we go. Be a delay now. One of the things I wanted to bring to your attention is our website, which we redid a couple of years ago, and we still keep up to date with various things that are going on in the business support kind of world. Also, we've got an events calendar for any kind of relevant events that may be relevant to businesses within the district and Essex, the wider Essex. We've also got business kind of support information. We've got Robert Laurie on the call here. He's a business mentor at Backing Essex Business. The details of how to contact him are all on there. I'll talk about what a couple of things they've got on offer actually at the moment as well. We've got kind of a page about finance, any kind of grants that are available, or kind of accessing different pots of money that may be available. At the moment, we're in a really annoying transition period. Sarah and I are putting together a couple of grant schemes for businesses, but I'll be able to share more information probably at the next bite-sized session, because at the moment we've not got everything finalised and live, as it were. I will mention though our business directory. It's free to sign up. It's just a way to kind of get your business out there. So if you haven't already filled in a little form online, then please do send in your details about your business and your logo, and we can get your business on our directory. It's great because it's resident focused, but also business to business. So it works kind of both ways. Backing Essex Business, as I say, everybody within the district as a business gets 12 hours of free business mentoring. So if you were interested to speak to Robert or one of his team, then please do either scan that QR code or go to their website for more details of how you can get in touch with them. And they've got a couple of things on offer, which I'm just going to mention. So one of the things that they have got on offer, and Robert might have time at the end to talk about any of these if Gemma, you're interested particularly, or Louise, as it were, because you are also a business within Uttlesford. They've got to find the skills gap in your business kind of assessment that they're doing at the moment, which I thought was really good, and it quite a nice way to kind of work out what your business might need in terms of skills, and they may be able to then point you in the direction of how you could maybe access different skills that are around in the area. They've got a couple of events as well coming up. This one is actually tomorrow at 10 o'clock online, and it's leadership and business transformation insights for SMEs. So I think quite a good topic. And then other one is about navigating the business landscape from startup to SME. So again, I've had a lot of inquiries from startup businesses recently, so I will be sending this out to them as something for them to sign up to. And that's I believe it's running over 2 days. Is that right, Robert, that it's running? Yeah. It's a 2-day kind of session, so it looks really good. So I thought I'd bring that to your attention. Another event to mention that is actually this week. It's on Wednesday, and it's celebrating our young entrepreneurs across the district. If you are free, either of you both to come along, please do. Robert and I are going. There's some key speakers. Harrison Cantel is one of our local young entrepreneurs who's based in South Morden. He's actually speaking at the event. And yeah, it's all to do with nurturing kind of our young entrepreneurs up to the age of 30. So if you are interested to come along, then please do. You're more than welcome. I wanted to bring to everybody's attention Discover Uttlesford, which is our tourism platform, which you can advertise your business on in various different ways. So if you are a hospitality business, tourism attraction, then please do get in touch and I can kind of help you with any of that. And then finally, just to mention that we've got our newsletter that goes out every other week. I try to fill it with as much relevant information as physically possible that may help. There was a bit about winning a TV ad last week, which I've spoken to a few businesses about, and they thought that was a great idea. I think the deadline actually has gone now, but I thought that was a really nice thing for people to get involved in. So yeah, I try to make it as relevant as possible. I put as much kind of funding information as in there that we have available, any events that are coming up, that kind of thing, any changes to government regulations, etc., all go in there. So yeah, please do sign up if you haven't already. And then lastly, I just want to mention next month's Bitesize session is all about AI. So we're talking about how you can use AI to kind of make yourself more productive and more efficient, and take away some of the menial tasks that maybe AI can help with. So hopefully that should be quite an interesting session. But so now it's time for me to hand over to our lovely speaker for today, which is Louise from A Friendly Bunch. And yeah, she's here to talk to us about TikTok and business. So I will hand over to you. I'll stop sharing, Louise, and then you can share your slides.
Thank you.
I'm going to mute as well, but I will talk if I need to.
Okay. Right. Can you all see that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought on a different tab and I was like, where is everyone? Perfect. Okay, so yes, hello everyone. I am Louise. I am from A Friendly Bunch. We are a social media agency. We have an office above the second-hand car garage on the high street, if you know where that is. I run A Friendly Bunch with my husband, so that's Adam in the picture, and we deliver organic social media with paid social media for brands of all different sizes. Our current clients at the moment, we've got The Fork, which is Europe's largest restaurant booking app. We've also recently taken on quite a fun place called Paradox Museum. Don't know if any of you know it, but it's an optical illusion museum. It's a global brand, but this one is based opposite Harrods, and it's a super fun place. It's a museum, so it's quite new to us because I
actually want to go there, Louise. It's on my it's on my list to do, actually. So I have heard of it.
Yeah, and so then in amongst that, we work with different businesses, brands. We've done training, we do content strategies, we create just videos for people. So we really help people in lots of different ways. So we're a small social media agency, but we have the capability to kind of bolt on to wider businesses as well. And so today I'm talking about TikTok, and it's kind of one of those things where you either love the sound of it or love it or hate it. And I'm kind of here to just demyth, is that what we say? Break down any kind of sort of preconceptions of what it is, because TikTok's actually is a very important social channel. And so obviously when we're talking to small businesses, the idea of having yet another channel to do, it can be quite overwhelming. But I'm just here to kind of let everyone know really what is happening on TikTok, why it should be considered, and then answer any questions that you may have about it. It is probably not just one session. Like, TikTok is a vast platform, and it probably needs a few other sessions on it in terms of creative and ideas. But for now, I'm just kind of going to go through some of those top line myths that are surrounding TikTok at the moment. So myth one, TikTok is just for teenagers. So there's this idea that TikTok is only for dancing teens and viral trends. And while the platform, yes, it has a lot of trend-based activity on there, for many people over 30, it's becoming a discovery engine. So what we mean by that is, obviously people have been using Google to search for things in their local areas, but actually TikTok's becoming just as focused on SEO. So it's really interesting that people are using it as a search engine. So it's where people are going to find ideas, reviews, recommendations, and they're increasingly looking at TikTok to find local businesses and what's happening in their area. So it's an outdated view that TikTok is just for this kind of young crowd, and more millennials, people over 30, are actually beginning to use that platform as part of their marketing, and also as an individual as well. So as a business owner, your potential customers are already there. So they're not just there to be entertained on TikTok. There is a real big need for content around exploration, learning, and helping people to make decisions. So this idea that it's just dancing is like I said, it's outdated, and actually it's becoming this discovery place. So in terms of how you can inject that into your marketing, it's really interesting for local businesses, because you have some stories to tell. And yes, there is a place for it over on TikTok, and not just for your kind of Instagram or your Facebook channels. If I go on to slide 2, so I've sort of touched on the whole like kind of SEO thing very briefly just there, but the myth too that people only use Google to search. Now, there's this myth that customers always turn to Google first, and actually a significant portion of millennials are now using TikTok as this search, as I've mentioned. So what that means is that TikTok is delivering real-time visual and highly trusted content. So people are going onto the platform, they're looking for restaurant recommendations, or they're looking for a local coffee. And it's not just about who's got the biggest following. Actually, it's content gets served to people who are looking for it, as long as it feels authentic. So the kind of jewel in TikTok's crown is that you don't have to have these really highly polished ads. You don't have to have everything super curated. Actually, something quite lo-fi that you shot on your phone can do really, really well. And the more people are searching on these social channels, Google is actually indexing that content. So when you are going onto Google, AI is scouring through social platforms. The Google itself is looking to social. So the interesting part of that is that the content that you're putting on there, actually when people are using Google, that content is getting shown. So it's like a different approach there. It's, you know, it's not just about what's coming up and what you should be doing on your SEO on your website. It's like, what content can be useful and interesting that I can put on my socials that Google's actually going to serve to people looking for things in my area. And so when someone in your town is searching for businesses like yours, the TikTok content could be the first thing that they see. So why I keep sort of re-mentioning this point is that we have to try and see TikTok as not just this place for just little dances and just this trend-based stuff. There's actually a massive opportunity for small businesses to explore what creativity is in a lo-fi way, and actually give it content that you know that your audience is looking for. So it's quite an exciting place to be. My myth 3. So there's a big myth around TikTok and a lot of social channels actually, that it's all about the followers. Now, these social platforms, and when I talk about social platforms, yes, Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is definitely copying the algorithm of TikTok at the moment. So whereas before with Instagram, you would need a huge following to get views, it's copying TikTok. So actually across these channels, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook kind of slowly creeping behind, it's not about your followers. That means smaller businesses, smaller accounts have the opportunity for their videos to get seen by a big audience. So it's not just the big brands that are getting seen anymore. It's these kind of smaller accounts, which is really exciting and a massive opportunity. So certainly on TikTok, it's really not about the followers. So you don't need to feel like you have to be showing up and trying to get these followers, which is really hard to get in organic social these days. Building up followers is extremely hard. What you want to try and do is create content that's interesting enough for people to watch the whole way through. So the myth there is, you have to build a big following before people will see your content, and that's just not true. So on TikTok, the algorithm prioritizes content and not this follower count. So it means you could have 0 followers and your videos still reach thousands, as long as the content is matching what people are searching for. So this is this kind of like idea. Think about your business in terms of what could people be searching for around my business? How would they end up finding me? If you write your audience pain points, you can start creating content around those things in a very, very lo-fi, quick and simple, easy way. So this is why TikTok's quite it's a it's a really interesting platform to be on right now, because not everyone has it nailed. And the exciting thing is that you can be testing things. It's still an account which rewards that kind of testing, lo-fi, just getting some content out there, seeing how it goes, which frees you up from an Instagram strategy, which would be very different. TikTok is kind of a bit more of somewhere where, if you feel like you're someone that can create that kind of content that's a bit more lo-fi, and you feel like you've got stories and you want to get that out, TikTok's a great place to be testing that out. And also on the plus side, people will be searching and getting served your content as well. So it's really, really not about followers. It's actually just about the relevance of your content. Myth 4 is around that only big brands can afford success on the channel. And like I've mentioned, it's actually the key to success on TikTok isn't about having a big glossy ad. In fact, a lot of these even high fashion brands like Gucci or Burberry, they're actually looking at lo-fi ways to create content. So they'll have a big shoot, but they'll have someone on their iPhone creating kind of behind the scenes content. For smaller businesses, yes, that means you can show up and be creating content on your phone, and you can see success on there in terms of posting content that feels quite native to the platform, rather than feeling like, okay, TikTok needs to have this big creative kind of look and feel about it. Actually, the more lo-fi, the more rough and ready, the more behind the scenes you can get, and showing all the different parts of your business on there is the type of content that really works. So that's where it's really exciting, because I think traditionally with marketing, it feels like the only things to kind of cut through the noise is creating certain types of graphics or an ad feel, or everything has to be quite classy, I guess. But actually, you've got your paid media for that side of things, your actual advertising. In terms of organic social, it's about the lo-fi, it's about creating things that people want to see and engage with. So the biggest truth on TikTok is that it's lo-fi creativity. So don't feel under pressure to have to buy a certain camera or any of these kind of things. TikTok rewards that real lo-fi, authentic feeling content, which is really great, because it means that you could just be working and you could have your phone set up and you could be creating a behind the scenes, you can let your camera roll, you can edit within TikTok, and then you could be creating a piece of content that actually is going to get served to people who are looking for businesses that are similar to yours. So I make it sound easy, and it's not, but the approach the shackles are not on for TikTok. So that's why it's really quite an exciting place to be. And my 5th myth to bust, before I kind of like open up and ask any questions, if you've got any questions, is around like TikTok won't help my local business. Now, with TikTok, it does feel like it's this, obviously it's a massive platform, and the idea that, real local businesses, it's not going to really have much of an impact, and that it's just for big brands or kids. But actually, local discovery is embedded in TikTok's algorithm. So what it can do is, if you're in that area, if it knows that you're an account that's kind of, interested in, for example, what's happening in Saffron Walden, content that you're putting out, and you're talking about Saffron Walden, or so I say Saffron Walden because that's where I am. Uttlesford is big, but if you're in different areas, TikTok's more likely to be seeing that content and serving it to those people who are in that area. So it's really, the way the algorithm works is really interesting for small businesses. And there's certainly a part of TikTok that you can really own as your small business and get more eyes on it. Obviously, there's potential to go quite viral on TikTok. And while that might not actually get people through your doors or getting people to buy your products, that is eyes on your content and your account. And if you have an online version of what you do, that side of stuff's really exciting. And the genius thing with TikTok is around this kind of like localization. So there's ways to be able to put the location into your posts. It also picks up what you're saying in the video, also picks up what you're saying in the caption. So you can really create a narrative around where your business is and where it sits amongst everything else. So TikTok needs to kind of be thought about that it's this new search platform is essentially kind of the crux of everything. And it's not just this big kind of vast platform just for kids and dancing. These things that it's tailoring this algorithm, and it's this type of local content, and the whole SEO side of TikTok is just building and building and building and building. And you'll find that, you know, everyone will just say SEO is on social. So this is where TikTok is one of the key players within that. Yeah, so I mean, the good thing is you don't need a big national brand on TikTok. You can actually just show up, and people love supporting locals. So when they see that you've got some videos out there that's showing just what you do and how you operate in your day, TikTok gives you that window to show to other people. So I just think it's a really good platform for businesses to be using. The differences between Instagram is obviously with Instagram, you have this kind of bit more curated type sort of approach. The two platforms should have very different strategies, but where you've got ability to kind of play in your content and you feel like, yes, I could create some videos around just showing what I do, then TikTok's a really good place to kind of be testing that out. And so there's kind of like 5 big myths I say that are out there around TikTok. And the main point of this is just to rethink about what TikTok could actually do and how it works. Yeah, I hope this is this is just a real whistle-stop tour of kind of the big subjects within TikTok and what it could do. You don't need to be trendy, young, or famous to make it work. You just need to start. So yeah, if I put my slide there, I've got my email, there's my my website. You're welcome to kind of have a little look. Feel free to drop me any other questions you have about it. But in terms of this session, if I stop sharing, and if you guys have questions for me, I'm happy to kind of answer them.
I do, but I didn't know whether Gemma or Robert do as well. So I was going to ask a couple of questions. Do you want me am I all right to go first? And then if you've got any questions.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I've got 2 questions. They were all a bit mishmash. I was like writing while you were typing. I'm a bit of a novice with TikTok, as in it's not something that I'm really familiar with at all. And I'm sure a lot of our businesses are the same. Instagram, I am very know what I'm doing with that. So my question is, you said they're very different and they need a different strategy. If I was going to be creating content, because one of the things a lot of our businesses say is they don't have the time for social media. So it's like finding that time and adding another thing, i.e. TikTok, onto their already busy social media in their heads, what takes a lot of time. Can you, I'm going roundabout here, but like if you were making content for Instagram, do you think you could repurpose it for TikTok? And it's kind of a loaded question in that my view of TikTok is that the content should be quite documentary for businesses. So it's all about like the process and like what you're doing to create, whether it's a product or whether, say, like the behind the scenes, as you mentioned before. So is that the type of content that they should be creating? And going back to my initial thing, like if they're creating content for Instagram, can that be repurposed for TikTok?
Yeah, so I can only really answer around can you repurpose? Yes, you can. We do that for clients. So yes, we would have a video and you can put it onto TikTok, upload it, choose some different music, write a different caption. Yes, it's the same piece of content, but yes, you can post. There is no effect on that. For example, we posted a video onto our Instagram, and how many it got it was up to 3 million views, and then it went higher, and then we put the same video on TikTok, and that's 4.5 million views. So there's no issue there. You can do that. In terms of the strategy side of things, it's all business dependent. It depends what your goals are, and it depends what you do and who you are. So the two should be different. I'd say never just take on a platform because you feel like you have to. This is kind of more like, yes, there's myths around TikTok, and yes, it's one to think about, but always do the one that's you can do and do well. I would say in terms of strategy, when businesses are saying they're too busy, like how many times are they posting? What are they actually posting? Are there ways in which they could not do that in terms of organic and actually put more emphasis on, okay, I'm going to create 2 videos a week, but I'm actually going to be running a paid ad to actually target people who need these services rather than just posting on organic and just hoping for the best. And then TikTok, yes, I mean, there are documentary side of things in terms of content, but there's lots of different things you could do there. It's not just I have to create this really long video. It could be that you film yourself. I mean, it's business dependent. But say, for example, I don't know, you made a product. Yes, you could film that. You could have a video out of that. You could have 3 pieces of content out of just that one video. So you could be putting the video on TikTok, which you put out with some music on and just have one piece of text over it, which is just, this week is going a bit like, and then you could post that. And then on Instagram, you might go into it a little bit more. It just depends where your audiences are, and it depends what your business goals are. But yes, every channel, kind of your whole social media strategy should be looked at. It's not just scrambling, putting something on there and then just whacking it over and hoping for the best. So if anyone is kind of operating businesses without a social strategy, then that's where it's always really difficult. So you probably need to just think about investing in that side of things, getting your channel plan sorted, then you know how to approach it and where to repurpose. But it's all business dependent. Every client we've ever worked with.
But I think what you identified in saying that, and again, I'm novice, so didn't realise this, but that obviously that the audiences on TikTok are searching for local things to do. And so for a lot of our businesses, retailers, hospitality, that really works. Because obviously we're always looking for things to do locally and places to visit, etc., etc. So I think that is massive. And actually identifying another thing you mentioned, like identifying what your customers are looking for and searching for, I think will feed into then what the content then becomes, if that makes sense.
Because I mean, it started off as ByteDance, so it started off as a dancing app, right? And then yes, there is a lot of young people that use it, but my point here is that it's fast becoming a search tool. And so it doesn't mean that the content you post now won't show up in a few months.
It might come back.
It will, because there's definitely trends and things where you can see that it's come back around. So it's kind of just getting that content out there. And then, like I say, more it's the age shift is changing. More millennials. There's loads of stats on actually. It's that it just shouldn't just be seen as a place for youngsters. Obviously, there is a whole side around how youth use these social channels and all of that kind of side of things. But we're thinking separately here. We're thinking business wise. We're thinking SEO. We're thinking people searching for content. The platforms showing that content to these people who are searching. We're thinking about older generations coming onto that app, searching, because that's where it's going. And we're also thinking about the fact that Google, for example, is indexing
that's really interesting.
It's just almost kind of like future proofing as well, a little bit. It's not necessarily saying, oh my god, you have to use it right now, because it does require work, and I would suggest it for those who are up for kind of exploring it, who have the capacity to do it. And and can kind of see potential value in that. So yeah,
That's really helpful. I mean, I think like I was just thinking then, like even like local builders and plumbers and electricians, and that it would really work for a lot of our sole traders like that are in that kind of construction industry that want to get their name out there locally.
Yeah.
You know, I think that could really work. Them telling their story on the TikTok platform. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's I'm kind of thinking what businesses it kind of adapts to.
Yeah.
I'll stop talking now and see if Gemma, Robert have got any questions.
Well, I'm quite excited about it because looking from a kind of an HR point of view, and trying to make the sort of like the company branding more accessible, and trying to attract people to make them want to come and work for the company. We have we actually outsource our social media, and it goes out to another company, and they do our LinkedIn posts. And the first thing I said when I joined the company to my MD was how very boring they are, because there's only so many pictures of, I don't know, foam and rubber that you can put up there. And I said we need to kind of humanize it, and we need to sort of tell stories about our staff and stuff. But I'm just really anxious as someone who's quite a lot older about, like, if we do it and we put ourselves out there, about kind of, I don't want to, it's just a cringe factor, I suppose. So if we did do things like product, following a product from sort of start to finish, or a meet the team, or kind of employee recognition or something like that, is that too cheesy? Are there things that we should avoid? Or
no? We get asked that a lot. EGC, so employee generated content, is huge. It can be, yes, that's your staff posting on LinkedIn, it can be anything, but EGC at the moment, I tell you what, curries are a really good example.
Yeah.
Embracing EGC on TikTok. And I'd say really for employee generated content to work on TikTok, for example, yes, there's the posts and things on LinkedIn is a whole other thing. It's going to become video at some, just solely video. EGC on TikTok is a place to play, and it's a place to, show what you're about and show your personality. Yes, there's cringy ways to do things, but the brands who are up for kind of exploring that, and I say this is just EGC, this is just employee generated, this is stuff filming your team. It's going to be a bit cringe when you start, but you have to start. And if you type in, so I don't know what business you are, but if you look on TikTok and kind of look around office life and work life, you'll see a huge amount of content of people who are just exploring things. And why that matters is because, yes, another side to TikTok and EGC, if you're using it in that way to kind of appeal to people to apply to your business, then it's a positive way to kind of show the personal side of what you do and humanize your brand. So there's ways to do it. There's ways in which, yes, some things it depends your business setup. You might not want to just hand your phone over to kind of like the team in the business. You might want some people to come in and structure it. That's what we're doing with the Fork, which is a TripAdvisor company. They simply can't just have someone have the phone. We go in and come up with all these different ideas, and there's people who are a bit anti it, don't want to show up on camera, and then there's some people that do. There isn't a kind of a magic wand to make that work. It has to come from the people. But to use TikTok for that kind of thing as well is really massively powerful, and that's only getting bigger. Currys is the one where people are talking about it a lot. It's weird. Okay, it's really out there, but what they've done through EGC only, and they don't really post anything other than that on TikTok, is that they've created a massive community around it. Anytime they post, people comment, and they've sort of they've shifted the narrative around who they are as a brand, and people are more likely to kind of remember Currys. This is thing around, it's difficult to do sort of like social listening without the tools, but you can kind of see from their comments people's perception of what it is and what they do is changing because of their ability to play in this space in terms of EGC. And you'll be really surprised that there's quite a lot of just really unexpected businesses that are on TikTok in this space. But yeah, it's it can be cringe, but it depends. Everyone's cringe is different, you know. So,
but this is what I was saying. I'm like, if we've got a job advert out, people are going to look up the company, and if they just see lots of very corporate stuff on, you know, on LinkedIn, there's nothing else out there, and that's why I want to kind of have something like that. And then I think also the same when we're dealing with new customers, new suppliers, for them to be able to see that side of the business as well.
Well, you know, we're entering the era of creativity, and I know that sounds really cringe, but it's true. It's not these kind of boring, stuffy, glossy ads. Kind of the real sort of ad creative, I guess, like kind of that old school graphic design is being phased out. I mean, traditional ads, you know, still exist, and you can, if people are coming to your social platforms, you can then retarget them with something that's a bit more on brand. But this kind of organic, you've got to get attention within those first 3 seconds. And if it's just a video where you're saying, hello, happy Monday, they've gone. So it's just that it's just a different approach to things, and the creative side is a whole nother side of like how to do actually a good TikTok video is a whole nother session. But yeah, it really is about playing on there, but knowing that actually exploring how the brand is perceived and the personality is a massive side to kind of this organic building. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
I've got a couple of questions, if I may.
Yeah.
We get an awful lot of sole traders, recent startups, etc., that are coming through us to start with. They are not of the younger ilk, shall we say. So social media to them is quite frightening, but also there's all the various platforms. If they were making something for TikTok, would that be a similar type of content that they could then upload onto Facebook as well, so they're not having to create different versions of what they're wanting to do?
Yeah, I'd say if it's a resource issue and they really don't have much time, yes, you could take something and post it on Facebook to test it. I would say the two platforms work very differently. But if someone is filming themselves, it's probably like a session on kind of filming and repurposing, because you could certainly film yourself, also within that take a photo of what you're doing in just that one short session. You could have something for Facebook, you could be creating a TikTok and an Instagram from that. I'd always say yes, you can. It's not best practice. Something from TikTok wouldn't naturally sit on Facebook, but sometimes you'd be surprised that actually it might work. But I would say if you're really struggling in terms of these accounts, it would just be focus on one and do it well, rather than feeling like you have to be on everything. You might want to set up an account so you own your handle, that's fine. But I would only do the account which you can really plan for and create the content and do it well, and also not feel like you have to be posting all of the time. I think I was quite alarmed when I actually spoke to a massive gardening brand the other day, and they're posting like 5 to 7 times a week. It's just unnecessary. It's just about having a bit more of a craft and kind of a strategy to it, essentially. I think a lot of businesses, certainly small businesses, probably don't know where to turn or don't know what to do with a strategy and what that actually means. It sounds quite boring. It's
quite right, because they've most of them have never run a business before, they've
Yeah.
been an employee, and therefore
Yeah.
it's been done for them,
Yeah,
or it's been outsourced, etc. So yeah, suddenly having to come up with that as well as running their own business is a real struggle for some
yeah,
of them.
yeah.
As I know time's running on, the other question quickly I had was, how can they use their TikTok account to actually create sales? This is from my lack of knowledge. Can you sell stuff via TikTok, or is it just a case of use that content to send them to their website or whatever?
So TikTok, essentially, it's predominantly an organic channel. You have TikTok Shop, which I don't myself, I've never run, but there are TikTok shops and people are quite successful in terms of that, like if you have a product. But the main thing with TikTok, and yes, you can run ads, but I wouldn't suggest that on there. The main idea around TikTok is that kind of brand building, putting you in someone's mind. In terms of like the actual journey from there to there is not something you can really, I mean, you can on ads, but it's just a place to post videos and get those views and build the brand. If you want to kind of create content that's really targeted, I'd say, yeah, use the Meta platforms and
Okay.
look at that side of things. I'm not entirely hugely convinced about TikTok ads, but that's only because of who I've been working on and what their business goals and things and needs. But yeah, I mean, with organic content, you will never post something and then X will happen. It's a different, more fluid process to that, but it's absolutely integral because it's the hub of everything you do. It's where people check you out. It's where people find information about you. It's where people are going to first. If they see an ad, they'll go and check out what content's on
so
your
so they're now taken back through to the website, and etc.
so that's the part that it plays. So that's why it's really important, certainly if you're running ads, to have an active account as well, because I've definitely been served ads on my Instagram and I click through and there's nothing there and it just feels really spammy and weird.
Okay, no, that's fine, thank you.
That's okay.
That's really helpful, and thank you for the myth busting stuff, because as an old fogey, it is a case of I thought it was all for the youngsters and and kids, etc. So I'll certainly be speaking to clients and sort of saying, consider this as part of your marketing strategy going forwards, and don't be scared about it.
It's fun to explore, and there's so many niche communities on there, and you'll find that with marketing moving forward and into the future, it's all about these niche communities, and it's massive for that. I mean, just off the top of my head, it's like book talk, for example. That's a whole thing in itself. There's like millions of different niche communities, but I mean, for me, I run the TikTok for clients, and I mean, there is this kind of side to it where, like, am I too old for this? Once you get into it and you understand the purpose of it and that it's going to be something that's just growing and growing, there is a place for all sorts of business on there, because essentially it's the story that's being told, and it's how it's how useful you can be, and it's also it's how entertaining you can be. Is entertainment first as well, which can be part of any business marketing strategy, but as just long as you've got the resource and the setup for it. I wouldn't try and think, oh my goodness, I've got to jump on this straight away and post all of this stuff. There's process to it, but that might be that you need a strategy to work out when the right time is to do that.
Okay. That's lovely. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Louise. Honestly, I've learned a lot. I'm sure Gemma and Robert have, and anybody that's listening.
I'm not rushing through them, but they're just such topics. And then I think that the biggest thing for me is just trying to help people see it as in a different light. I mean, I'm a parent, and I understand that the whole kind of youth using it, there's these kind of like moral issues to it. I get that, but where we can actually be making content that's really valuable and interesting, that side of stuff is good and very important for businesses And if these are the tools that are being used, and you want to bring in a younger audience to what you do, it's really essential to kind of nurture that. And then Gemma, obviously, as you say, around using TikTok to kind of explore the personality of a business and use it to appeal to new people in terms of staff. It's it's a really interesting place.
Amazing. Thank you, Louise. Thank you everybody for joining. And yes, next session is on AI, so please do check that out. Louise, honestly, thank you for your time today. Thank you for joining Robert and Gemma, and I've learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else has too, so thank you, Louise. And yeah, obviously get in touch with Louise if you've got any further questions. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to answer. But yeah, thank you ever so much.
Good stuff. All right, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.